And then here we have the guitars. They don't really play well together, that synth top melody and the guitar, because as you can hear here, I didn't feel like they played well together, so I just muted them where the plug synth comes in. So we have like, and then that comes in and just takes over. But I kind of wanted the vibe of that the guitar provides. So what I did is that on the second half, as you can see here, I pitched it down an octave. So it's more just like a mushy type of vibe underneath it that doesn't really have any melody in it because it's so pitched down. It sounds like this. But I just felt like I wanted the movement of it, so I pitched it down, and then it works. You just get the feeling of the guitar without having it as heavy as this one, because this has been pitched up. It was actually the original recording of this guitar sounds like this. And I just recorded, sent it to my computer, and pitched it, and mixed it, and sampled it, and it sounds so lonely. There's something that's really cool with the sound of this one. I mean, this is my greatest tool at the moment, is my phone. Because it does something to the sound that makes it sound. And then also when I import it and I convert it to MP3, I ruin the sound in a way, and that sounds really cool. So let's just see. I'm just gonna go through some Q&A. If there's any more. He says, any advice and tips on how to make good top lines? Well, I feel like a good top line should be just extremely simple. I think if you make it too complicated, then people are gonna fall off. You want people to go to the kitchen afterwards and hum the melody, you know? So, and I usually work with like this, I like calling it a staircase melody, where it's like, someone is up and I don't know. That's like the same type of stairs, it's just put differently. Da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, and it's like in take aim and da da da, da 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 na 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 na. You know, it's like the same structure on both parts of the first two parts of the melody, but it's a different. It's just moved down almost like to a harmonic level on the second time. So it's like da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. Already there, you have a cool chorus. Like, take me aside, you say what you want, and I don't want you to go on and on. You know, like that type of melody. That's something that I use as a big tool for me. I find like 4 notes or something that sounds good together, and then I just take the next part of it and I just move it down. So and that's pretty much how like nursery rhymes are built up. I use nursery rhymes a lot. Like a lot of ideas that I get from singing, like when I sing to my kids at night. I'm like, ooh, that song could be a cool pop song. And then I borrow something from that melody, and then I add something, and then I think it's too sweet, so I'm making it a little bit more minor. But it all started with like a nursery rhyme. I've even had songs that starts with just the rhythm of a nursery rhyme. Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pile of water. I could be like, Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pile of water. And there's the staircase melody again. Starting up and going down, I'm going even lower. And then maybe for the chorus you could go, you move upwards, and then you just make everything like just this journey that makes the listener feel like they know what's coming, you know, because if you've had the first two steps, then it's natural to go the two second steps. And sometimes you want to trick them. You want them to feel like they know what's coming next, but you trick them like light. I don't want you because then you want to hear light. And sometimes it's cool to trick people into thinking they know what's coming because you want to surprise them with something new as well. But it's also important to make them feel like they know the song before they've actually heard it, if that makes sense. So it's like, I mean, I feel like you can get inspiration from so many different things. It's like even here, Max Martin, how like tell me why it ain't nothing but a heartache. That's actually the sax solo on a song by Spandau Ballet called True, which is like true, true, so he just borrowed that. Well, I think he did. To me, that sounds pretty obvious that he actually did, and I think Max Martin is the greatest songwriter of all time, and he knows exactly how to be a gentleman's borrower, if that makes sense. So I think you shouldn't be too scared to sound like something else, because if you sound like something else, you probably have a hit on your hand. And yes, you will be copyrighted if you use too much of something already existing, is an answer to your question, Vishaka. So you need to be careful. You can't take too much. But if you look at it from this perspective, it's like pure originality doesn't really exist anymore, because the second you have an acoustic guitar in your hand, you're not original anymore because someone's done it before you. So I think it's important to let yourself be inspired and hold your horses if you move too far down that direction, because you need to know when to stop and when to try to be more original than you actually are. But I think like that's part of my strength, is that I know when to stop, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go through the Q&As again. Someone's written me some lyrics as well. How do I get inspiration for song lyrics? Well, I am definitely not the best lyricist out there, to be absolutely honest. I think that's also really important if you want to make it in the music industry, is when if you need to be aware of your strength and your weaknesses. And to me, my strength is finding key words that sing well. And then usually I have someone else make sense out of the lyrics later on, if that makes sense. So I would say 9 out of 10 times I just send a gibberish song idea to someone, to a lyricist. And I think that's really important when you're a top liner, is that I mean, I could spend a lot of time like fine-tuning my lyrical craft, but I would much rather use that time to make new melodies with gibberish, because that's what I'm that I mean, that's my biggest strength. So I would just use someone else to write words, because they would probably make it better. And it says, how does one become a lyricist? I think you already are a lyricist. I just I don't think it comes to a point where you are a songwriter or you are a lyricist. If you write songs, you are a lyricist. If you write songs, you are a top liner. You don't necessarily need to be as good on all different parts in the process. And it says, I want to be the person that makes sense out of gibberish. How would you call such a person? A lyricist, pretty much. Or you can just say a songwriter, because most lyricists are songwriters, and most songwriters are lyricists. I would say songwriter is a bad way to say it, because a songwriter is both melody and lyricist, but a melody person, how do I say? I write lyrics, but I think there are so many great songwriters out there who write a lot better lyrics than I do. So yeah, I do it like that. Or you can just spend a lot of time fine tuning your lyrics, listen to lyrics, read lyrics. Sometimes I even make songs by reading lyrics on songs that I haven't heard before. Just finding random songs, just trying to find my take on a lyric that I don't know the original melody for. Do you prefer Cubase over Ableton and FL Studio? I prefer Cubase above everything, because I think Cubase has a great flow. It's really good at audio editing, which is something I do a lot. I record a lot of bands and stuff. So to me, like editing drums, people say that Pro Tools is the way to go. And only love towards Pro Tools. I love Pro Tools, but nothing has ever felt better for me than Cubase. It says how Spectre 2.0 idea started. Spectre 2.0, I'm not going to take a lot of credit for that. I was more just the singer on that song, I would say. But that came to me from that was the Alan Walker camp that pretty much just served me this beautiful thing on a silver platter, and asked me to work on it. And I was pretty much just working on what they had already originally made. So I don't feel like I did much of a change on that one. I did write on it, but I wouldn't take credit for starting that process, because that came from Gunnar and Allan and the whole Allan team. I'm just gonna go through some more Q&As. If there are any more, here says. It says, is the process between being the main vocalist versus doing backing vocals much different? Like you doing BVs on Faded versus you being the main vocalist on the Spectre. Well, yeah, it's very different, because if you're a background vocalist, then you're not a featured singer on it. You're just contributing to someone else's feature. And then you would, I mean, I wouldn't put too much of my vocal personality into a background vocal, because I would use more energy into finding out what sort of frequency, what sort of vibe in the lead vocalist's vocal. What can I do to make the lead vocal shine more? So I'm just trying to find something else when I do background vocals, because then it's all about making someone else's vocal shine. Let me just... Yeah, there's so many cool questions here. I will go through questions, but I can uh, I can tell you more about like the On My Way song, for instance. What's cool about that song is that the the chorus of that song, we were in the studio, we were trying to make the perfect chorus for that song, and then uh, we didn't know how to, because we didn't come up with anything. And then we were like, yeah, let's just go to lunch. And we put our shoes on and went to lunch. And on the way to the restaurant, someone from the team was like, oh, we need something simple, like the la 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 la, the Gloria in Excelsis, or what that song is called. And we're like, ooh, like that. You know, that whole thing spun out of an idea that we need something that sounds a little like pompous and classical, you know. And that's also really interesting, how you can spend a lot of time and effort into working when you're in the studio or whatever, and the magic happens when you take a break or when you're on the bus ride home, because then you don't try as much, and then you let your guard down, and then the melodies start flowing. So I think it's important, if you hit a wall, don't keep hitting that wall. Move away from the wall. Do something completely different. Take a break, or start something that sounds completely different, like start something in a different tempo, a different vibe. If it's like, I don't know where to take. If we're going like, yeah, like this one, like that type of simple chord progression, and you have a verse. That, and first, before I'm starting, the usually I always write the chorus first, because I feel like it's a curse. If I have a great verse, I can't come up with a chorus. So I usually like to start with the chorus. And I probably don't have a number for how many song ideas that could potentially be great song starters that I've thrown away because I was only looking for a chorus and I had to move away from a great verse or something. It's like, if you have something that the way you move has got me running into you. And if you want a good chorus for that, you would probably not want to start on the one, even though there's no rules. And then the chorus could potentially be, oh good, so signs, sing on a broken line. Like, you start on behind the beat on the chorus, and you have the verse starting on the beat, which makes the chorus pop more. So it's, but if you have a great verse, I mean, I'm jumping back and forth, and I'm sorry about that, guys, but I just get really inspired by playing. So people say, like, how do you come up with cool chord progressions? And to me, a cool chord progression shouldn't be like inventing the wheel type of cool. That can be with voicing. You could have like a straightforward, but if you just, I mean, to me that sounds like Captain Jack Sparrow, and you're like, I want to move away from that, so I just add a 7. Ooh, and then I could have potentially hold the notes, hold the chords longer, and then maybe a my7 chord on the second one, and I have no idea what this is, but it sounds cool. It's the same chords as I just played, but they sound really different. So it's like voicing means everything to me when I play, because I want the chords to sound familiar, like something you've heard before, but I want it to have a flavor of something that's absolutely different as well. Uh, it's like you could potentially play. But if you, I mean, to me, that sounds like something that I've done, that many people have already done. But if you go, then all of a sudden it's pretty cool. It's like, say you're sorry, I'm not worried, then all of a sudden, to me, I don't even hear the chord progression, even though the chord progression is absolutely mainstream, the same chord progression as all pop songs in the world almost. It's just about what note you start with. So it's yeah, it's really interesting how you can just, that sounds different if you play it in different, like, all of a sudden it sounds more rocky when you have a lower voicing on it. So it's like, and that can trigger something completely different. Also, something that's very interesting is to write a song in a completely different tempo and vibe than you intend to put it in. It's like if you start with a the hard style techno track, that's probably going to inspire you to write a completely different top line than you would if you had a straightforward pop song. But if you write it to a hard style techno track, and then you take away the track when the top line is done, and then you make a pop track under it, then I promise you're going to find something that's different and fresh, because you didn't end up in the same wheel that you usually end up in. I'm just gonna show you like how you can make something in a totally different vibe and then end up in a different vibe. Just give me 2 short seconds. I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay, so now I just put the song in 140. So I'm just gonna find Future Rave is always a joy. So I'm gonna put on a trance gate on this one and just see if this sparks something. Like that. If you think like, oh, what's gonna work in the clubs? You could go like, okay, that's pretty cool. So it's like, okay, so now that's one melody. So I'm gonna send this over again. Now that was inspired by a really heavy rave synth, and I'm going to show you how I can use that to be an Alan Walker song. Okay, I'm just going to find the key. Yeah, F major. Again, Put the tune in major. We have. All right, so we got a starting point. So I'm gonna push this down into the famous Alan Walker tempo, 90, and see how that sounds. That's pretty cool. So just gonna put on, I usually use the face-to-face drive because it gives me such a good vibe on the vocal. It pushes the vocal really, really far into your face. And then I send it to a stereo group where I put on, I use the stereo reverb and stereo delay from the CLA, and I also use this one. All right, so I'm just gonna find some type of sounds that give me the Alan Walker vibe, which is this one again. Keep coming back to this synth because it gives me such a warm feeling when I play it. It sounds so lonely. And I'm going to show you a really cool lonely trick, how to make things sound really lonely, because I feel like lonely is the key word for this universe. All right, let's see here. Here we go. I did a mistake here. And then I can have a little fun with the pitch shifting. Pitch it up 3 semitones. To me, that sounds like a really, really cool pre-chorus to a song. So that could be a cool starting point. And yeah, my gibberish was probably "want your clothes off." I know. I can't help myself when I'm gibberishing. Sometimes a lot of horrible lyrics come through. Can you show Not You demo? Well, let me see. I'm not sure if I have that on this computer here, actually, because that's a pretty long, it's a long time ago. Alan probably has it. If you're ever in a masterclass with Alan, he can probably show you all this old stuff. But I've been, Not You was a funny thing with Not You is that that was a demo from a long time ago, and it was, yeah, and it was released. It went 100% under the radar. People didn't even know it was out, but then TikTok came in and made it viral, which is also really interesting how old songs can end up being put back to life because of TikTok. And there are many people asking about songs that, like Fake a Smile has been asked about. I didn't do Fake a Smile. I wish I did. It's an absolutely gorgeous song, but I didn't do that song. Can you recommend some apps for starting making songs? Well, just straightforward audio recording is, I mean, music production apps, I don't really know about that, but I would just if you want to just start somewhere, then you could just start in GarageBand. I started in GarageBand. There are so many people asking about old demos. Thing is, there are so many songs that that have been created for so many years that I don't have them very easily accessible on this new system that I have right now. But if you have any songs that I worked on that you want me to talk about, then I'm more than happy to do that. And people keep asking about Heading Home. What's funny with Heading Home is that that song pretty much existed from the very, very start of my relationship with Alan Walker. But it was just never the right time to release it because we didn't find the right vibe that would fit the song. That came later. I didn't produce that song, which I did. It was a great production. But yes, you're very right. I sang the very first demo of the song that was performed on X Games. And my version, my vocals were never released. It probably only exists in some YouTube video somewhere. But yeah. My favorite song that I worked on with Alan Walker. That's pretty. That's a difficult question. I've worked on many of his songs, and my favorite one is probably "Sing Me to Sleep." If I wanna say something, like "Sing Me to Sleep" is a song that has a very special place in my heart. Heading Home acoustic. Well, I don't know if that. I don't know which way to go when it's dark outside and I can't see no more. No. Yeah, I don't even remember the words. Nobody sees me now. I'm a one-man show. That chorus, that I'm so happy about that chorus. The whole like da 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 da. That's also like the staircase melody that I talked about earlier. It's like the da 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 da. It's all just staircase melodies. I keep calling them that. It's not an official expression, the staircase melody. But the person ending up singing that song, Ruben, he has one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard in my life. I remember hearing him for the first time when he, my eyes opened up for him when he did the "Lay by Me" song. If you heard that, if you didn't hear the "Lay by Me" song with Ruben, I promise you're in for a treat. So I'm really happy that he ended up doing the vocals on Heading Home because I can't see anyone doing it better than Ruben. Do we have any more questions, or does anyone have any challenges that you want to give me while I'm here with you? Would you like me to show you something? Okay, so I'm gonna go into the Q&As again. I'm trying to go through everything here. Can you make a song only with the piano? Yeah, of course. Does anyone have a cool line or a topic that you want, like a word or a sentence that you want me to start with? Yeah, and I can make this with only stock plugins. That's absolutely fine. All right, let's see. Eyes. That's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool line. That's pretty cool. I should record that. That's pretty cool. All right. Your eyes reflect the stars at night as they shine so bright. Yeah. Your eyes reflect the stars as night. They shine so bright. They shine so bright now. You know, you could do that. That's a pretty cool melody, actually. So let's see here. I'm just gonna plug in a microphone. Just give me 2 seconds. All right. So now I'm just gonna use this one. Kind of like that melody, actually. It's the G major, of course. Perfect. So I mean, I've shown you the whole recording on your phone thing, but now I'm gonna do it with a mic instead. If you want to, then I can share my screen from now on. Okay, so what I'm doing now is that I'm just making a chain that makes me sound gorgeous.